6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. 7 spectators died at the clash at Fox Hills Supercross held at Diyatalawa this evening. The president says that no one will be left behind in the program launched to strengthen the economy in the island. Sri Lankan Airlines says that it is currently modifying its flight paths for European destinations. Minister of Justice Vijayadas Rajapaksa appointed as the acting chairman of Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Minister Tiranalas warns that stern action will be taken against all the senior police officers who could not establish community police committees by 31st of May. UN says about 16 million Afghans to experience crisis and emergency levels of food insecurity. And those are the headlines. Dozens of spectators were injured at the Fox Hills Supercross held at Diyatalawa this evening. Police said the accident has taken place after a car ran off the track during a race. Our correspondent says that there were more than 100,000 spectators gathered for the event. He said 7 spectators died at the clash and 21 more have admitted to the Diyatalawa hospital. According to police, the deceased include 5 adult males and a small child. Police said 4 of the deceased were officials of the racing event, while 2 others were civilians who were among the spectators. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that no one will be left behind in the program launched to strengthen the economy in the island. He said all had to suffer as a result of the economic crisis. Therefore, all should equally get the benefits when the country is gaining some economic advancement. The president made these remarks when he was addressing a gathering at a function held in Uvaparanagama to distribute rice packets. The rice distribution program will cover 2.7 million low-income families in the island. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Sri Lankan Airlines advises that it is currently modifying its flight paths for European destination as a precautionary measure amidst the current tensions between Israel and Iran. These changes mean that flight times to Europe are extended, requiring additional fuel and reducing the available payload. Further, to meet slot times in London, these flights are being advanced by 1 hour. As a result, unfortunately, some passengers on the London flights have missed connections or been offloaded. Sri Lankan Airlines said the airline will maintain this routine and the earlier departure time to London for the next few days while it monitors the situation. Departure times from London and to and from other European cities remain unchanged. The safety of our passengers and crew remains our top priority. Minister of Justice Vijayadas Rajapaksa has been appointed as acting chairman of Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The appointment has been made by SLBC faction led by former President Maithripala Sirisena during its executive committee meeting held in Athulkote today. However, on April 4th, the Colombo District Court issued an enjoining order preventing former President Maithripala Sirisena from functioning as SLBC chairman. Later, the SLBC's Politburo appointed a Minister of Ports, Aviation and Shipping, Nimal Siripala as the party's acting chairman on April 8th. Minister Tiranalas warns that stern action will be taken against all senior police officers who could not establish community police committees by 31st May. Accordingly, steps will be taken to remove those officers from their post. Addressing the gathering of the Nuvarelia Community Police Committee, the minister pointed out that the participation of everyone is required to eliminate drug menace in the country. He said the community police committees can play a major role in this regard. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
Upcountry plantation workers launched a strike and staged a protest today demanding that their daily wages be increased to 1,700 rupees. The plantation workers displayed black flags and wore black bands during their protest. Trade associations in Hatton, Kotagala, Bogavantalawa, Dikoya and Muskelia closed down their shops and displayed black flags in support of the strike action. The protesting plantation workers claimed that the plantation companies had not taken any steps to increase their wages despite massive profits earned by the companies. And that came to you in Top News.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the temperature felt on human body is expected to increase up to caution level at some places in northern, north-central, western, Sabaragamu, eastern, southern and northwestern provinces and in Monaragala district. The heat index forecast is calculated by using a relative humidity and maximum temperature, and this is the condition that is felt on our body. Met Department said that this is not merely the forecast of maximum temperature. It is generated by the Department of Meteorology for the next day period and prepared by using global numerical weather prediction model data. And that's Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
First, the headlines. UN says about 16 million Afghans to experience crisis and emergency levels of food insecurity. Bird flu is spreading in dairy herds. Midwest farmers say they are vigilant but not alarmed. Australia's Great Barrier Reef suffers worst bleaching on record. And those are the headlines of the World News. An estimated 15.8 million people in war-ravaged Afghanistan will experience crisis and emergency levels of food insecurity in 2024. United Nations says the majority of the Afghanistan's population is unable to procure basic needs such as healthcare, food, livelihoods and housing. UN said families across Afghanistan continue to struggle to feed their children for 2 years. It added 9 out of 10 people were not consuming an adequate amount of food, and the cost of which absorbed an overwhelming 89% of the household incomes. The bird flu has been found in cows for the first time, but most cattle seem to be showing only mild symptoms and recovering from the illness. Midwest officials say the process means milk remains safe. Midwest farmers and others in the dairy industry say they are staying vigilant but are not overly alarmed as bird flu spreads to a growing number of dairy cattle herds. The U.S. Department of Agriculture observed that the influenza virus has been found in 8, and it added this strain of avian influenza already had been detected in the U.S. Australia's Great Barrier Reef, which stretches for some 2,300 kilometers off the country's northeastern coast, is suffering its worst bleaching event on record. The extent of the bleaching was revealed in aerial surveys after the government agency tasked with the reef's management confirmed early last month that the reef had been hit by its 5th major bleaching event since 2016. And that's the end of World News. Moving on to development news, Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum, a prominent agricultural business association in Sri Lanka, is collaborating with the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, to organize the Accelerator Boot Camp. The Accelerator Boot Camp, hosted by SLAF and supported by USAID Catalyze Sri Lanka Private Sector Development, is a training program aimed at founders of the agricultural startups, small and medium-sized agricultural enterprises and agricultural entrepreneurs. A statement from the forum said this program is part of the second phase of the Accelerator project, which provides funding and mentoring to empower agricultural entrepreneurs in the sector. And that came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lankan badminton player Viren Nethasinga has secured his spot in the men's singles badminton event at the upcoming Paris Olympics. According to the qualification announced by the Badminton World Federation, Nethasinga earned an impressive 24,030 ranking points throughout the season, placing himself in the 32nd spot among the qualified players for the Olympics. And that's sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Chongqing Airlines will launch a new international route from Chongqing to Colombo and Male starting June 24th. Chongqing Airlines will use the Airbus A320 for this route, operating flights 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. The flight schedule includes flight CZ553, which departs Chongqing at 12:10 local time on Mondays and Fridays, arriving in Colombo at 15:30 before continuing to Male. So that's business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, the government has decided to import big onions from India through Lanka Satusa. The government says under Prime Minister Narendra Modi government's neighbourhood first policy. India has recently decided to send a stock of 10,000 metric tons of onion to Sri Lanka. Chairman of Lanka Satusa, Pasanda Yapabiyawardena, says that 2,000 metric tons of big onions would be imported as the initial stock, as the Ministry of Trade has decided to import big onions through Lanka Satusa. Weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunderstorms will occur at several places in western, Sabarakamu, central and northwestern provinces and in Gaul, Mathura and Anuradhapura districts in the evening. Showers or thunderstorms may occur at a few places in Uva and northern provinces and in Polonnaruwa district during the afternoon or night. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunderstorms. And that was the weather report to wind up this news podcast. Let's look at the main points once again. 7 spectators died at the clash at Fox Hill Supercross held at Diyatalawa this evening. The President says that no one will be left behind in the program launched to strengthen the economy in the island. Sri Lankan Airlines says that it is currently modifying its flight paths for European countries. Minister of Justice Vijayadasa Rajapaksa appointed as the acting chairman of Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Minister Tiran Aras warns that stern action will be taken against all senior police officers who could not establish community police committees by 31st May. With that, we conclude this evening news podcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Is back to a different phase today. Mariela Wandot to keep you company with the rest of the programs this Sunday evening.